Hi everyone, and welcome to our virtual cooking class. I am mealtime mentor and registered dietitian Lauren Tulig, and I'm so excited to be joining you from your kitchen, from the Festival Foods Test Kitchen today. While we wait, as you kind of get all your materials together, there are lots of different equipment and ingredients you need to get out. I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands just to give you a second to grab everything that you need, and then we can get started. We definitely want to make sure that all our equipment is out, that we have a safe workspace, and that we have washed our hands before we get started cooking. I also just quickly go over a couple housekeeping items before we get cooking today. If you have any questions that do pop up during this class, please reach out to us at askfestivaldietitians.com, and we'll be happy to answer any of those questions that you have. So let's get started. Today we are going to be preparing delicious fish tacos with a blended blackberry margarita recipe, which I don't know about you guys, but tacos and margaritas, especially fish tacos and margaritas, is just a match made in heaven. So this could not be a more perfect class. So we're actually going to get started making our drink. We're going to make our blended blackberry margaritas so we can sip that while we are making our fish tacos, which who doesn't love sipping on a drink while you're cooking? I don't know about you, but that's one of my favorites. So we're going to get started with our drink. So to get started here, we already have some ice in our blender. So today I'm using a blender that's also going to act as our food processor, but you do need a blender and a food processor today, or you can use your blender for both. You'll just need to quickly clean it out in between our drink and our fish tacos. So we have ice in here. We're going to add in 4 cups of frozen blackberries. But you could use blueberries in this recipe. You could use strawberries, raspberries, really any sort of berries. I'm just using the measuring over here. That looks good, maybe a little bit over, but it'll be delicious. We're adding in 1 cup of tequila, any tequila that you like. Now this recipe will serve a crowd. It'll make about 6 servings, which is really nice if you want to make kind of more of a picture of margaritas, which perfect for entertaining. You can also freeze it if it is just you and pull it out. I'll already be prepped. Then we're adding in a 1/2 cup of triple sec. So triple sec is just a generic term for sweet clear orange liqueur, originated in France. Smells really good. Smells like orange for sure. Add that in, 1/2 cup of that. Then we have 1/2 cup of orange juice. So we're done with our alcohol. So I'm going to squeeze these over. 1/2 cup of orange juice, just whatever you have on hand or your favorite. Just using that same liquid measuring cup. And then we've got lime juice. You could use fresh lime juice if you have limes. Otherwise, just pre-made lime juice will work great. 1/2 cup of that. Just gonna squeeze this in. That looks about good. And pour that right into your blender here. And then our last ingredient for these blended blackberry margaritas, 2 tablespoons of agave nectar. And similar to when we use honey in recipes, I'm just going to eye it up because it can be kind of hard to clean off of a measuring utensil, but feel free to use that if you prefer, but also feel free to just eye it up. If you're not familiar with agave nectar, you can find it typically in our natural organic department at Festival, and it's very similar to, like I said, you could use honey in place of it if you don't have it, but if you're not familiar, the agave plant, which is actually native to southern United States and Latin America, The sugars in the agave are fermented to make tequila, which is why you typically see agave nectar in margarita recipes. Agave nectar is essentially the agave syrup, and it's primarily sugars, so it adds a nice sweetness to our margaritas. So that's all that's going in our blender here. We're gonna put our top on and blend it up. That looks perfect. And before we pour it in our glass, we are going to rim our glass that we're serving in today with some sugar. And the way to do that is we're going to take one of our limes here and we're just going to cut a wedge. And we're going to use that lime wedge to rim our glass. So we're simply going to take this wedge and go all the way around it. Just a little bit of lime juice there. And then we're going to take our glass. I have a just dish here with granulated sugar, just sugar. You could also use salt if you prefer salt on the rim instead of sugar. And I'm just going to go ahead, put my glass in, get it completely coated on all sides. And there we go. There's our sugar. So fancy. You have to rim your glass. Easiest thing, and it's also a nice surprise when you are drinking your margarita too. Oh, that looks so delicious. Perfect. So I'm going to set this aside. It's just me today, so cheers. Definitely want to taste your drink after you make it. That's so refreshing. And that sugar on the rim is absolutely delicious. So next, like I said, I'm going to be using my other attachment here, which is my food processor attachment. If you are using your same blender again, please clean that out. Otherwise, grab your food processor and get that ready. We are going to move on to our fish tacos. So first, we're going to make our rub so we can get our fish going in our pan here. For our rub today, it's super simple. We're just using some very, very common spices you likely already have on hand at home. So we're using chili powder, 1.5 tablespoons of chili powder. So I'm just using teaspoons, not tablespoons. So I'm just using a half of a teaspoon measuring utensil so I can use that for all. And then we have garlic powder, half a teaspoon of that. You can definitely eye this up as well and season to taste. We have onion powder, half a teaspoon of that. Cumin. Oh no, we don't have cumin in here. Oh yes, we do. It's divided. That's why. I'm looking at my recipe and it's towards the top. So half a teaspoon of that, and we are going to need it again for our slaw recipe for the dressing. And then paprika. You can use regular paprika, otherwise smoked paprika will add a nice flavor as well. So half a teaspoon of that. You can add some salt and pepper in here too, if you like. That's optional. And then I'm just going to take my fork and mix this all together. So super simple rub recipe. You can use this for any sort of protein. If you're making tacos, fajitas, this is just a very traditional, easy rub recipe to have on hand. So over here we have our fish. Today I am using tilapia. You could also use cod, would be great. Really any sort of mild white fish will do. And I have my fillets here. I just have them on a baking sheet with paper towel. From here, I've already kind of done this, but I will just demonstrate. You're going to want to take your paper towel and make sure your fish is nice and dry. So I'm just drying it off. This will just ensure that the rub adheres to the fish. So make sure your fish is nice and dry, particularly if it was frozen and you thawed it, it's definitely going to have more moisture. So you're going to want to make sure it's nice and dry. before I get my rub on my fish and get that going, I am going to get my pan warm here. So I have a little bit of canola oil in here. I'm going to get my skillet nice and hot, medium, high heat. Let that warm up. And then go ahead and add my rub recipe, about half of it here. Go ahead and rub that in. This is not the best orientation. You don't want to be reaching over your skillet while it's hot. So that is just for demonstrating today, as I don't have a ton of space. And then go ahead, this side. And since I'm going to put this in, I'm going to grab this. Finish rubbing here. And then these are going to go right into my skillet. So you may have to work in batches depending on the size of your skillet. This is a fine size. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. And then going to let this fish cook. And meanwhile, we're going to work on our dressing for our slaw and get our slaw all completed. And then by the time that's complete, our fish should be done too. But at this point, if you've handled your raw fish, you're definitely going to wash your hands. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This would also be a good time to grab a sip of your margarita in case you're feeling thirsty before we get going on our slaw dressing. That margarita is so good. All right, so I can hear my fish sizzling over here. I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on it while we get going on the dressing. So for the dressing today, we are using a cup of plain non-fat Greek yogurt. If this is a little too tangy for you, feel free to use sour cream. You could use a fuller fat Greek yogurt if you prefer. Either option will do. And then we're going to add in about a half cup of chopped fresh cilantro. So I have some fresh cilantro here. I'm going to go ahead and just roughly chop. We're just roughly chopping because everything will get nice and chopped up in our food processor. So that looks like about a half a cup. You can measure, you can eye up, just depending on how comfortable you are. And as you can see with my knife here, I'm using a chef's knife. I'm just rocking back and forth. My knife, the top of my knife or the tip of my knife never leaves the cutting board. Rocking back and forth, just roughly chopping it up. That looks good. About a half cup. And feel free to add in as little or as much cilantro as you'd like. I like cilantro. It's not my favorite thing in the world, so I'm going to add in just a little bit less. But if you love cilantro, add it in. If you hate cilantro, completely omit it. It will not ruin this recipe. Next, we have 2 limes, the juice of 2 limes. If you have a citrus juicer or like the little squeezy thing, feel free to use that. Otherwise, if you don't, feel free to juice it the good old-fashioned way. Right with your fingers. And 2, I'm using fresh now in this recipe, but if you do have your lime juice from your margarita, you can absolutely use that too. Squeeze that in there. Get as much juice out as possible. We got 1 more lime, 2 full limes here. So I'm just cutting it right in half. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. You can smell the fish. It smells good. Sizzling too. I should mention too the slaw that we're making today. It's excellent with these fish tacos, but it's a really versatile slaw recipe. You can use it on pulled pork, other sandwiches, other types of taco recipes, as a side dish. So this is a good slaw recipe just to keep on hand. Before we add in our next ingredient, I am going to pop over to my fish and feel free to look at it at any time that you need to. I'm going to turn my heat down just a little bit. But I'm using a tongs here. You could use a spatula. And I'm just going to kind of take a peek. I'm going to give these a flip. They're looking pretty good. The great thing about fish is that it just doesn't take that long to cook, which is awesome, especially for weeknight meals. All right, so I turned my heat down just a tad. Now I'm gonna let that go while we finish making our dressing over here. All right, so we just added in our 2 limes. Now we're gonna add in a half teaspoon of cumin. That was our 1 teaspoon divided. That was the other half of that. Salt and pepper. That to taste. And then we've got 3 green onions. So I have 3 of them right here. I'm gonna scooch this over so you can see okay. So 3 green onions. I'm actually gonna start at the bottom here. Going to get rid of the white part, and then I'm just going to go from there. And remember, these can be roughly chopped because it is going right into our food processor, so it will get nice and chopped up in there. I'm just going to, again, similar to our cilantro, nice rocking motion with our chef's knife. Use the same knife. Perfect. Try to add this in without making a complete mess. I am not a clean cook though. I'm good at cleaning up after, but during, it's everywhere, but that's okay. It's part of the fun, right? And then we have our garlic cloves here. So these I'm just gonna really roughly chop again. They are going to go right into our food processor. You could put them in whole too. I'm just going to help out my food processor a little bit and just very roughly chop these guys up. And then lastly, we have our jalapeno. So this is optional. If you are not a huge fan of spice, feel free to leave it out. If you love spice, you can add in 2 jalapenos. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off the tip here. I'm going to cut off the bottom as well so that I have flat surface. And I'm actually just going to kind of trim along the side here so I don't get the ribbing, the flesh. I don't want the seeds either, so I just really want the outside here. So I'm going to discard my innards here. And the top of my jalapeno. And same here. Go ahead and roughly chop as it's going to get all chopped up right in our food processor. This smells like a spicy one. I can feel it. All right, looks good. Go ahead, get this on my knife here. Add it right to our food processor. And that's it. And because I handled that jalapeno, I am gonna go ahead and wash my hands one more time. Just don't want any of those oils from the jalapeno on your hands in case you would accidentally touch your face. That would not feel good. All right, before we get that blended, let's peek at the fish. It's looking really good. You'll know that your fish is done when it just like that, just falls apart. As you can see, it's nice and flaky. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and just kind of start breaking it up in my pan. You can flake it really finely if you like larger chunks in your fish tacos. This piece is not quite done. I can see it's not flaking quite as easily, so that needs to go a little longer. This all looks really good. I love the nice crust that the fish gets with that rub that we put on it. Yum. Okay, we're gonna let this go a little longer so that this piece can cook up a little more. Scooch back over to our dressing here, and we'll get this all blended up. So after your first time around, you will need to take a peek at it. Oh, this actually looks really good. And you may need to kind of clean out the sides a little bit, but this looks pretty good. I think we are all set with this. So I'm going to take this off, bring it over here, and scooch this over. I forgot I wanted this. All right, so I'm gonna pour the dressing on top of, this is just bagged coleslaw mix that you can find in the produce department. So I did no work with this except for taking out the bag and pouring it right into this bowl. And then I'm just gonna take tongs, could use a spatula, that works too, and just mix the dressing in. And completely coat all of our slaw. Yum, that looks so great. If your dressing was a little thick, just add in a little bit more lime juice, and even honestly a little bit of water would just be fine too. All right, that looks good. I'm just gonna clear a little space here so we can serve up our fish. Hopefully your fish is looking good. Yep, there we go. Now that piece is flaked nicely. Perfect. And this recipe also serves about 6, so got a pitcher of margaritas, plenty of fish and slaw for tacos. Today I'm just using a corn tortilla. You could use flour. We also sell these little street corn tortillas, which are absolutely adorable. Not street corn, street taco. They do come in corn ones and then flour ones. Those are really fun, delicious. They're a little tiny. But you could also just skip the tortilla, serve the fish on top of the slaw. And then in terms of other toppings, you could do avocado would be great, red onion, tomato, really anything that you like for tacos. So here we have it. We have our margarita, we have our fish tacos. You can squeeze on a little bit of lime if you want to be extra fancy. And a perfect date night done right. So thank you so much for joining our class today. We hope you had fun and learned a few tips and tricks along the way. Again, if you have any questions or comments you'd like to share about the class, please reach out to us at askfestivaldietitians.com. To register for upcoming classes, view previous classes, and get all the materials that you need for both, visit festfoods.com/classes. That's really our hub for all things virtual cooking classes here at Festival. Also, be sure to follow Fest Foods on Facebook, Instagram. If you're taking this class, please take a picture, add it to your stories or your posts, and tag us. We'd love to see your creations from these virtual cooking classes. And also, if you're just looking for more recipes, you can find more recipes from the Mealtime Mentors at bestfoods.com/meals. Thanks again for joining us today. We'll see you next time.